All right, YouTube, what is going on? Yes, I am back now to do more videos, guys. I've been playing tons of video games. I still gotta beat Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, first Berserker Kazan. I am enjoying that game a lot. Of course, I am playing it on easy mode because I am not about to stress over a game. I'm here to have fun. The game is still hard on easy mode, and uh, basically playing on my PS5 Pro. I'll give you guys maybe some opinions about that later. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on it looks fantastic, guys. I'll give you guys my opinion on the PS5 Pro later. But today we have to talk about good old Nintendo, right? So good old Nintendo announced the Switch 2 and everybody's freaking out, right? The Nintendo Switch 2 came out at a price of $449.99. But that's not the only thing, right? So the system is going to be $450. It's coming out this year. By the way, pre-orders have been delayed due to the Trump tariffs and all that stuff. So you guys can take a look at that later. But let's see. The system is $450. Let's talk about the gaming industry. Let's talk about pricing. Let's talk about where we're at, guys. It's 2025, right? It's 2025, it's Nintendo, and it is the video game industry. The video game industry right now is the biggest industry out of all of entertainment, right? So music, movies, video games. Video games is number one on entertainment. It is a very expensive hobby, right? So let's try to get that out of the way. As demand goes up, this is basically outside of Nintendo because I know Nintendo does their own thing, right? But as demand for quality of games keep going up, cost of games keep going up, then price of games unfortunately is going to keep going up. Now the question is to justify, is the game worth this much money, right? So we're talking what, GTA 6, right? This is the next big thing. We're talking about Crimson Desert, right? That's another big game. So are those games justified by their price compared to other products? So the Nintendo Switch 2, it's at a price of $450. So basically $50 less than what a PS5 was in 2020. You do have to take into account inflation. We're talking 5 years. Okay, in 5 years since the pandemic, inflation has been crazy, and now with the tariffs and all this stuff, guys, price is going to go up. Now, price of the system, I think it's not too bad, right? So let's start with the price of the system. What is ticking people off is the price of the video games and the price of how the service of the video games in general work, right? So let's scroll down here. This is a IGN.com article. $80 price tag for Mario Kart World. So we're already talking $10 more than a game on PlayStation 5. So you're talking about a game that's on Nintendo, which means graphically it's not as demanding as a PS5 game. It is not as huge in scale as a PS5 game, and you're charging me $10 more. Now I was thinking about it for a second, and I'm like, basically Nintendo players are paying for pure exclusivity because PlayStation is no longer exclusive per se. Their games are no longer exclusive to PlayStation, right? Because they release to PC later on, meaning they can get some more money out of the games. A year later, whatever the case may be, they did it with Spider-Man, with God of War, with Horizon. They're about to do it with Lost Soul Aside, which is a great game coming out in May. It's coming out hand in hand, PC and PS5. But Nintendo does not do that. Nintendo is exclusive on the Nintendo ecosystem, right? So I'm here thinking, you know what? You want to play a Nintendo game, then you're gonna have to pay the price for it, right? Why? Because games tend to get more expensive. Nintendo is exclusive. They don't release games outside of the Nintendo platform and ecosystem. You know what? The price is going to have to go up, right? That's just the way it is. Unfortunately, if you want to play the game, we either have to not buy it, right? So you do have two choices. Either not buy the system, do not pre-order, do not buy the games, or you just pay it, right? So it's basically voting with our wallets. Let's be real. I don't think Nintendo cares, because at the end of the day, Nintendo is a family-oriented system, and a bunch of parents are going to get their kids these games. Doesn't matter how expensive they are, because they just want their kids to be playing these games and leave them alone, right? Let's just enter reality here for a second, right? Whether it's 60, 70, 80, that difference really doesn't matter. Parents know video games are expensive. They don't care. They just want their kids playing games and leaving them alone, right? That's the reality of the situation, right? So $80 price tag for Mario Kart World is turning an eye opener in an age when we're so used to $60 or $70 being the norm. That is true. Even on PS5, the first Berserker Kazan, which is a very good game with great combat, some RPG elements here and there, good worlds, is $60. So we're talking about well, it's not an open world, and a Souls-like game for $60 that has like manga graphics, anime graphics, whatever. They could have charged 70. Why did they decide to charge 60? You get me? So that's the beginning. Now, it's not only $80, right? It's not only $80, okay? So let me see if I find that information, right? Because it's $80 if you buy the game digital, okay? If you buy the game digital. If you want the game physical, I just can't find that info here in this article. So, but I know I saw it. Everybody's talking about that. So if you want to buy the game physical, it is $10 extra. So if you want the game on the little cartridge, you're going to have to pay $10 more. Not only will you have to pay $10 more, that cartridge is just to install, and then you're going to have to download the game. So you need to have obviously internet connection, but let's be honest, 99.9% of people in their house have internet connection, okay? We're living in times where you cannot live without internet in your house. It is basically a necessity, just like food and water. Food, water, internet. That's basically the necessities of nowadays. But let's put that aside, right? You're paying $10 extra to have the cartridge, and you still have to download the game. Like what was the point of that? Just so that you can say that you have the cartridge, just download it then directly to your system. Now, the difference is if you do have it physical, of course you can go to somebody else's system, plug it in, and they can download it to their system. You can share, borrow games, and whatever, right? But if you do want to save those $10, you're not planning on letting somebody borrow the game or selling it or whatever you want to do with your physical copy, then just download it directly to your system, right? That's $80. Another thing is upgrades of Nintendo Switch 1 to Nintendo Switch 2 remaster, right? So like a remaster game like Legend of Zelda going from one system to the other, right? It says Switch 2 versions of Kirby and the Forgotten Land and Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, they're both costing $80. So if you don't have the game and you straight up just want to, we're talking about an old game. So we're talking about like a 4 or 5 year old game in the new system with some new framework and whatever, and you're paying for the game that was released years ago the same price for a game that could release today. So that's what's going on here, right? So that's basically it. Let's see if we can see some this preview right here real quick.
Are taxes still on your to-do list? Get them done for you. We'll match you with the right tax expert for your needs. Our experts.
So I don't get copyright. Okay, so this is like a little hands-on preview from IGN. Let's see what they got.
Hey, okay, I want to start with the screen quality. In handheld mode, immediately, kind of a disappointment that this isn't an OLED screen, but it still looks really good, right, Logan?
So the screen is not LED. It's not OLED. Yeah, it's not an OLED screen. it's an LCD screen, right? So that's another thing. Supposedly, it still looks good.
Yeah, that was one of my big disappointments from the Direct, was no OLED model, just LCD at launch. But we did a side-by-side with my OLED that I have now of the Switch 1 and the Switch 2, and the Switch 2 looked really, really nice. Mario Kart, the colors were popping, and I don't think that people are really going to miss the OLED as much as we were worried we might when we knew that this wasn't going to have OLED.
But I think ultimately they wanted to keep the price around where it is right now, which is $450, and, you know, knowing Nintendo, they'll double dip with an OLED model a few years from now. But for now, games docked look really good. In fact, games in handheld mode look really good too. But in docked mode, you can get up to 4K with some games, and up to 120 FPS with some games. Both.
So the whole 120 frames, let's not go too deep into that, because we know what happened in the PS5 and Xbox One era, right? They said, oh yeah, 8K up to 120 frames. Not one game was released at 120 frames for like 5 years. Right now with the PS5 Pro is when we're getting it. So the whole 120 frames, yeah, we don't. Let's not care too much about that.
Both of those things won't happen at the same time. But either way, the dock has a fan built in now to help maintain performance a little bit. And we got to see games like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Mario Kart, Metroid Prime 4. We got to play them all.
Listen, guys, I love Nintendo as much as the next person, but we're talking $80. Like you couldn't keep it at 70. They just keep it at 70, or keep it at 70. Why 80? Why 80? Like those games are not demanding whatsoever, and they might be demanding for co-op or what. They're not demanding at all, you know. And it's the same games over and over. Mario Kart, same thing over and over. Mario Party, it's the same thing over and over. Like, this is not demanding $80.
In docked mode, and they look really good.
Yeah, when we played Breath of the Wild, I thought this is what we've always wanted Breath of the Wild to look like. It runs so smoothly. You go to the Korok Forest and it runs great. You fight a guardian, you're slashing, it looks great. You set a whole grassy plain on fire, no frame drops. It looks and runs really, really nice. So yeah, not sure if it's I need to play this again nice, but is a really nice upgrade for anyone who's going to revisit those games.
Yeah, or if you skipped it the first time around and the Switch 2 is your first time getting into the Nintendo ecosystem, then I mean, those are some of the best games of all time. So I'm actually kind of jealous that you get to play them with higher fidelity visuals for the first time, because I'll never get that time back. But you know what? I loved that time. I want to move on to the builds. We got to use mouse controls. There's a lot of new sort of functionality under the hood. We got to play games in mouse mode. We got to play Metroid Prime 4 with pointer controls and stick controls and seamlessly take the Joy-Con, place it down.
Now that's cool, right? So you do gotta love Nintendo with all their accessibility and the stuff that they do with the controllers and handheld. So the system itself, it's a very, very nice concept, right? Metroid looks really good. A first-person shooter on Nintendo, that looks really nice.
Sideways on the table, and a little reticle immediately popped up on the screen, and you just instantly jumped into mouse controls. I thought that was super cool.
Yeah, that was really surprising. I would have thought you'd have to go into a menu or pull up a new controller sync thing to get into mouse mode, but you don't. Like Brian was saying, you're holding the split Joy-Con, you put one down vertically on the table, that reticle appears, and now you have a functioning Joy-Con mouse. And I played the entire Metroid Prime 4 demo with mouse controls, and it works really, really well. Sometimes you have to awkwardly crane your thumb or your pointer finger down to hit a face button, since you're holding it in that weird new way. But otherwise, the aiming worked really, really well. I felt like I was actually doing better at the combat with the mouse controls. So yeah, and we saw mouse controls with a ton of other stuff too, like Mario.
So that's cool. But yeah, guys, this video is mostly talking about the price. I want to know what you guys think, right? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Are you planning on getting this system? Are you planning on pre-ordering? What do you think about the pricings, the pricing of the games? Are they worth it for you? Do you have kids? I wanna know your guys' opinions below. And yeah, guys, the video game industry is an expensive industry. It is a very expensive hobby to get into, but I think it's going to be worth it, as in like the industry. I don't know where I was heading with that, so I apologize. I think it's worth it. The hobby itself is really cool. Games are getting even better and better every year, guys. I know the systems are getting crazy expensive. PCs are getting crazy expensive, but it is an expensive hobby. But at the same time, we do have some great games this year. I mean, we're not even halfway through the year, and we have at least 3 or 4 already Game of the Year contenders. We'll talk about Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Split Fiction, and much more, guys. This year is going to be packed when it comes to video games. So yeah, guys, let me know what you guys think. If you guys are going to be getting the Nintendo Switch 2, if you guys are going to be pre-ordering it, let me know down in the comments below. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, guys, and don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more videos. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one.